I could be sure that I was a man. I got married, and I've stayed married for over 30 years.
Bless you, Joyce.
I had to have the perfect marriage, so divorce was not an option. If it had been, I'm sure she'd have shown me the door at least 25 years ago. I served as a boys' residence hall administrator at boarding schools for 10 years. I figured if I was training young men how to be men, then I must be a man too, right? I joined the Army, became an airborne infantryman. I served in special forces. I had to have the cleanest rifle, the best marksmanship, the most highly polished jump boots. I had to be the perfect soldier.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Whenever the image of perfection would risk being tarnished, I got angry. Ask my wife and sons. There were many times when I was absolutely out of control with anger. After I spent 20 years as a soldier, I retired in Alaska, and I mined for gold. I could not just be a laid-back, retired old fart. I was still driven to perform manly things, but my core questions went begging for answers. My heart was still wounded and unhealed from when I was 10 years old. All of us, every man here and every boy, has been wounded. When we were boys, someone we knew and respected wounded us psychologically. Maybe it was your father or grandfather or an uncle. It might have been a teacher or a pastor or a neighbor. Whoever it was that wounded us, we have this wounded 8 or 9 or 10-year-old boy deep inside of us that has never allowed us to be the man God would like us to be. We just feel like, grow up! Just grow up! Be a man! And we have contempt for those hidden parts of us that are weak and vulnerable and wounded. You know, those places where we're so desperate for affirmation and validation as a man. Every boy needs that. He needs the affection of his father, and he needs the answer to his question from his father. That's where it comes from, what every boy needs to hear. You are my delight, and you have what it takes to be a man. That comes from the Father. See, that's the way the whole thing was designed. Masculinity is bestowed, and it is bestowed by a man. I am not talking about maleness. Maleness is the result of having one X and one Y chromosome. Maleness is genetic, and it's decided at the moment of conception. Masculinity is not. It must be taught. You cannot get masculinity from a feminine source. It's impossible. No matter how loving your mother or your wife or your girlfriend may be, you can't get it, men, from some other source, not even from a group of other boys, because they ain't got it. You can't get masculinity there. Masculinity comes from masculinity. It is bestowed. It is passed on from father to son.